Hare Krishna. Good morning, everybody. Actually, I'm enjoying that kirtan, I could have listened a bit more. But we got to try and start on time so we can finish on time. So thank you all so much for joining this morning. Srimad Bhagavatam class and attentive Japa. Thank you, Rukmani Mataji, Jayanti Prabhu, Partha Prabhu, Parveen Mataji, Prem Prakash Prabhu, Sarveshi Mataji. Thank you all so much for joining. And today we're talking about Bhrigu Muni and how he proves the supremacy of Lord Vishnu. So let's do a quick prayer first of all. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jai. Okay. So we're talking about Bhrigu Muni. And Bhrigu Muni, so what happened that once long ago on the shore of river Saraswati, which is not so visible now, there was a discussion arose among a group of sages as to which of the three chief lords, Brahma, Vishnu or Shiva, is the greatest. They deputed Bhrigu Muni, and Bhrigu Muni is the son of Lord Brahma, born from Brahma's touch. So Brahma has sons born from his mind, from his touch, come from his nose, So he's got various sons like that to investigate this matter. So thought, who better than Bhrigu Muni? So eager to resolve this question, O king, the sages sent Lord Brahma's son Bhrigu Muni to find the answer. So this is the Shukdev Goswami explaining to Maharaj Parikshit that Bhrigu Muni went first of all to his father Brahma. So the plan decided upon the sages was for Bhrigu Muni to test which one of the predominating deities possessed the quality of goodness in full. So that's what they are testing, who's in the mode of goodness of the three deities. So one who is in the mode of goodness possesses such qualities as tolerance and equanimity, whereas those conducted by the modes of passion and ignorance are prone to easily lose their temper. So that's what they were checking. So to test how well Lord Brahma was situated in the mode of goodness, Bhrigu Muni failed to bow down to him or glorify him with praise. So when Bhrigu Muni went to see his father, he didn't wish him well or bow to him, show any respect. So Lord Brahma became very angry and inflamed by fury by his own passion, because Lord Brahma is usually known as being in the mode of passion. So though anger towards his son was now rising within his heart, Lord Brahma was able to subdue it by applying his intelligence, in the same way that fire is extinguished by its own product, water. So by using his intelligence, he managed to control his senses. And Srila Prabhupada explains that Lord Brahma is sometimes affected by his contact with the mode of passion, but because he is Adi Kavi, the firstborn and foremost learned scholar in the universe, when anger begins to disturb his mind, he can control it by means of discriminating self-examination. In this instance, he reminded himself that Bhrigu was his son. Thus, in this verse, Shukadeva Goswami draws the analogy that Brahma's own expansion, his son, served to put out his anger, just as water, which is originally evolved from elemental fire in the primeval creation, puts out a fire. So this is another lesson for us, that Srimad Bhagavatam says that we should consider everybody as our son. If you consider everyone as your son, or you consider yourself their mother or father, then you will never get angry with anybody. So that's also one thing to make note of. And so that was the situation with Lord Brahma. He became disturbed, but then he controlled it. Oh, that's fine. And then Bhrigu Muni went to see Lord Shiva, Mount Kailash. There Lord Shiva stood up and happily came forward to embrace his brother. In the Vedic civilization, it is considered very important to properly greet one's family members, especially when one has not seen them for a long time. A worthy son should respect to his father, A younger brother should honor his elder brother, and the elder brother should show affection to his younger brother in turn. But Bhrigu Muni refused to embrace, telling him, "You are a deviant, heretic, non-conformist person." At this, Lord Shiva became very angry, and his eyes burned ferociously. He raised his trident and was about to kill Bhrigu Muni when Goddess Devi fell at his feet and spoke some words to pacify him. Bhrigu Muni then left the place and went to Vaikuntha, where Lord Janardhan resides. So Sri Prabhupada mentioned that it is said that an offence can be committed either with the body, with the mind, or with the speech. Bhrigu Muni's first offence committed towards Lord Brahma was an offence with the mind. His second offence committed towards Lord Shiva by insulting him, criticizing for unclean habits, was an offence by speech. And because the quality of ignorance is prominent in Lord Shiva, when he heard Bhrigu's insult, his eyes immediately became red with anger. With uncontrollable rage, he took up his trident and prepared to kill Bhrigu Muni, his brother. At that time, Lord Shiva's wife Parvati was present. Her personality looked like Lord Shiva, is a mixture of three qualities, and therefore she's called Triguna Mai. In this case, she saved the situation by evoking Lord Shiva's quality of goodness. So we all have these three qualities, but we find that one quality is a bit more dominant than the others. And I think we all probably know our own situation according to these. So Lord Vishnu, so then Bhrigu Muni went to Lord Vishnu to test him. So he went up to Vaikuntha planet called Shvetadvip, where Lord Vishnu resides. There Supreme Lord Vishnu was lying with his head on the lap of his consort Shri, and Bhrigu Muni kicked him in the chest. It really sounds very bad. The Lord then rose along with Goddess Lakshmi as a sign of respect. Coming down from his bedstead, that supreme goal of all pure devotees bowed his head to the floor before the sage and told him, "Welcome, Brahman. Please sit in this chair and rest a while. Kindly forgive us, dear master, for not noticing your arrival." The Lord said to Brahman Bhrigu, "O great sir, your feet are indeed very tender and my chest very hard. Hope it didn't hurt your foot." Saying this, Lord Vishnu began massaging the Brahman's feet, or Bhrigu Muni's feet, with his own hands. Now, can we tolerate, are we in the situation to do that? Somebody kicked us like that, we wouldn't thank him. Ask him, "Are you okay? Didn't hurt yourself?" But this is Lord Vishnu. So Sri Prabhupada comments that, of course, Lord Vishnu is all merciful. He didn't become angry at the activities of Bhrigu Muni, for Bhrigu Muni was a great Brahman. A Brahman is to be excused even if he sometimes commits an offense. And Lord Vishnu set the example. Here it is said that from the time of this incident, the gods of fortune, the ladies obviously will take offense, especially when the husband is being insulted like that. Has not been very, Goddess Fortune Lakshmi has not been very favorable disposed towards Brahmins since then. And therefore, because the Goddess of Fortune withholds her benedictions from them, the Brahmins are generally very poor. There's always exceptions, but this is the rule by the looks of it. According to Srila Goswami, Jiva Goswami, at the time of this pastime, Bhrigu Muni had not yet become a pure Vaishnav. Obviously not, otherwise he wouldn't have done this act, even though he was, as a test. I don't think he would have kicked Lord Vishnu. Otherwise he would not have acted so rashly towards the Supreme Lord. Not only was Lord Vishnu taking rest, but he was lying with his head in his wife's lap. For Bhrigu Muni to strike him in this position, and not with his hand but with his foot, was worse than any other offence Bhrigu Muni could have imagined. So Lord Vishnu still continued to say to Bhrigu Muni, "Please purify me, my realm." And this is actually Lord Vishnu saying to Bhrigu Muni, "Please purify me, my realm and the realms of this universe, universal rulers devoted to me, by giving us the water that has washed your feet. This holy water is indeed what makes us all places of pilgrimage sacred. Today, my Lord, I have become the exclusive shelter of the Goddess of Fortune, Lakshmi. she will consent to reside on my chest because your foot has rid it of sins. This is what Lord Vishnu saying to Bhrigu Muni. Sri Prabhupada says in this instance that the so-called Brahmins of the Kali Yuga are sometimes very proud that a great Brahman like Bhrigu Muni could touch the chest of Lord Vishnu with his foot. But in fact, when Bhrigu Muni kicked the chest of Lord Vishnu, it was the greatest offense. Although Lord Vishnu, being greatly magnanimous, did not take it very seriously. So Shukadev Goswami says, Bhrigu Muni felt satisfied and delighted to hear the sermon words spoken by Lord of Vaikuntha. Overwhelmed with devotional ecstasy, he remained silent, his eyes brimming with tears. Bhrigu Muni could not offer the Lord any words of praise because his throat was choking with tears of ecstasy. In the opinion of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti, the sage should not be condemned for his offensive behavior, since his role in the transcendental pastime was arranged by the personality of Godhead. So then Bhrigu Muni returns, and then Shukadev Goswami is explaining to Maharaj Parikshit that, O king, Bhrigu Muni then returned to the sacrificial arena of the wise Vedic authorities and described his entire experience to them. So amazed upon hearing Bhrigu's account, the sages were freed from all doubts and became convinced that Lord Vishnu is the greatest Lord. They began to glorify Lord Vishnu as follows. From Lord Vishnu comes peace, fearlessness, the essential principles of religion, detachment with knowledge, the eightfold powers of mystic yoga, and his glorification, which cleanses the mind of all impurities. He is known as the supreme destination for those who are peaceful and equipoised, the selfless, wise saints who have given up all violence. His most dear form is that of pure goodness, and the Brahmins are his worshipful deities. Persons of keen intellect who have attained spiritual peace worship him without selfish motives. And then is further explained about devotion to the Lord, how great devotion is to Lord Vishnu. Here, Jiva Goswami explains that by becoming devoted to the personality of Godhead, one easily attains divine knowledge and detachment from sense gratification without separate endeavor. So as described in 11th canto, that devotion, direct experience of the Supreme Lord, and detachment from other things. So devotion, direct experience of the Supreme Lord, and detachment from material things, obviously. These three occur simultaneously for one who has taken shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the same way that pleasure, nourishment, and relief from hunger come simultaneously and increasingly with each bite for a person engaged in eating. So the devotional service is compared to eating, that your hunger is relieved and you get pleasure and you get nourished. These things happen. In the same way, by doing devotion service, you attain divine knowledge, you get detachments from sense gratification, and you get you become closer to Krishna. Similarly, then Sutta Goswami states from the first canto that by rendering devotional service unto the personal Godhead, Sri Krishna, one immediately acquires causeless knowledge and detachments from the world. So that's just saying what we said earlier. And then Lord Kapila, when he's giving instructions to his mom Devhuti, proposes that the eightfold powers of yoga are also coincidental fruits of devotional service. So you get what the yogis get, you can get that through devotional service. They spend thousands of years trying to get these powers, whereas the devotee can get them just by devotional service. Because he's completely absorbed in thought of me, my devotee does not desire even the highest benediction of it obtainable in the upper planet systems, including Satyalok. He does not desire the eight material perfections obtained from mystic yoga, nor does he desire to be elevated to the kingdom of God. Yet even without desiring them, my devotee enjoys even in this life all the offered benedictions. And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti points out that three kinds of transcendentalists are named: the Munis, the Santas, and the Sadhus. These are in the order of increasing importance. So Munis, then more importance is the sants, and then more important is the sadhus. Sadhus are people who are devotees, who are following Lord Krishna's bhakti. And so the Munis are striving for liberation. The sants are ones who have attained liberation, and the sadhus are engaged in pure devotional service. So we're not looking for liberation. We just want to please Lord Krishna and serve him. So this way, uh, the Brahmins came to the conclusion that Lord expands into three kinds of manifest beings: the Rakshasas, the demons, and the demigods, all of whom are created by the Lord's material energy. And this is like us, and conditioned by, they are created by the Lord and the material energy and conditioned by modes, like we are. But among these three modes, it is the mode of goodness which is the means of attaining life's final success. So that's what we need to strive for, the mode of goodness. So Prabhupada writes that there are three kinds of people existing in the modes of material nature. Those who are in the mode of ignorance are called Rakshas. Those in the mode of passion are called Asuras. And those in the mode of goodness are called Suras or demigods. Under direction of the Supreme Lord, these three classes of men are created by material nature, but those who are in the mode of goodness have a greater chance to be elevated to the spiritual world, back home, back to Godhead. So Shukadeva Goswami said that learned Brahmins living along the river Saraswati came to this conclusion in order to dispel the doubts of all people. So I mean, the Brahmins, they already know that Lord Vishnu is the greatest Lord, but then sometimes they do these things to show to the people. They prove to them that this is the case. It's like with Diwali tomorrow. We know about in Ramayana how Lord Ram already knew that Mata Sita was pure, but he still did Agni Priksha to show the people that that is the case. So the Brahmins therefore rendered devotional service to the Supreme Lord's lotus feet and obviously obtained his abode, and that was the test there was for excuse me, for Lord Vishnu through Bhrigu Muni. So thank you so much. um, I think there's a few things we can learn from this, and let's make a start. And who would like to go first? Partha Prabhu, would you like to share with us what you think in this pastime?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Jai Hare Krishna.
It's a lovely pastime because it's followed by Lord Venkateshwara. After Bhrigu Muni hit, Lord Vishnu actually descended in the form of Lord Balaji. Listen, I felt, Prabhu, like everybody is in the mode of goodness or mode of passion or mode of ignorance.
Sure.
Everyone will be there. And
Sure.
it's only the mode of goodness by which you can at least get control on the anger. But if you're in mode of passion or mode of ignorance, it will definitely lead to the anger. That's what I understood. That's it.
Sure. Sure. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Well done. Thank you. Praveen Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, yes. Yeah, all I can say is like we are influenced by the modes of ignorance, passion, and goodness.
Mhm.
And so, like the Lord Brahma, like they were not, you know, without all these qualities either. So, again, we know supremacy, Lord Vishnu, Krishna, he's the supreme.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very well. Jai. Um, right. Prem Prakash Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna,
Pranam.
nice to have you.
So, thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for accommodating me, although this is a very busy time for me.
Sorry, Prabhu.
And Radha actually is planning to just getting ready. So basically, I mean, this is wonderful pastime to actually show that how the modes actually affect us, and then also shows us that I mean, how Lord Vishnu is situated basically beyond the modes. I mean, well, beyond the modes, and he's meant he is like he is representing mode of goodness at the moment. Although whatever it is, sorry. So he needs. He actually is asked showing the devotees basically to actually attain the mode of goodness, because the uh, anger is something which is also we get impacted with very small things. If you see, we see small things, we get angry, and just it comes to us basically without no reasons, because the expectation is there, because we know that there is expectations. If we have to do something, then it has to be done in that particular way. If we don't do that, if that particular way, regardless whether it's material or spiritual, is not attained, we get uh, distressed. So not distressed, but we get like not comfortable with that, and we have angry. Sometimes we actually take that out, uh, like Lord Shiva was doing, and sometimes we just try to calm ourselves with our own intelligence and don't take it out, but we feel that inside of our heart. So it's more important to also understand that these are the modes of um, even if you're not expressing our anger, these are still modes of ignorance and um, passion. We need to try to just see that what are the good qualities basically for whatever action it is, whatever action it is done, whether it's right or wrong, and then try to see the only good qualities basically. So that will lead to the modes of, I mean, the action of goodness, and then we can see the action of goodness, and then we can actually ignore whatever which are not in action of goodness, and then try to attain which is actually given in this pastime, which is a lesson in this pastime. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare
So,
Krishna.
thank you, Bobby. Thank you so much. So we have to cultivate the qualities of goodness. That's the idea. Sarveshi Mataji, Mataji there? Sarveshi Mataji, are you there? Okay. We'll go to Rukmani Mataji for the time being, and then we'll come back. Rukmani Mataji, any lessons for us?
Prabhuji, very nice. Tolerance, power in even in God. Vishnu didn't say anything. Even Bhrigu Muni kicked him on the chest, and he asked him that you haven't injured. So it was great. They are the only God can do that. Like common people can't do that. They just react at all. So very big lesson to tolerate in every moment. And
Yeah.
Prabhuji, you said what? Muni, Sant, Sadhu, they are important, you said, no?
The Munis, the Sants, and the Sadhu. The devotees are known as the sadhus. We call each other sadhu sometimes, isn't it? Because sadhu means a devotee, whereas that's how it's been divided. That the munis are who are trying to become liberated. The sants are who have become liberated, even I guess while they're still in their material body. And the sadhus are the ones. They're not munis or sants. They are sadhus because they are devoted to pleasing Lord Krishna. They're not doing to get some kind of uh, special powers or anything, whereas the yogis are, or they just want liberation, but they don't want to serve in any way. Uh, they might just want to become one with Brahman, with Krishna. They don't want the service. They don't want the individuality. So sadhus are more exalted because they want to keep their individuality so they can serve the Lord.
So they only served, they only believe in serving the God.
Yeah, because it says, like Lord Chaitanya says, don't want liberation, don't want anything. We just want, even if we to stay, we'll come back here, janam, janam after janam. We have to keep taking birth as long as we get the opportunity to serve you, Lord Krishna. That should be the prayer. I mean, obviously, if you are Krishna, will take you back to Godhead, because he knows that this, deep down, this is what you want. But your prayer should be that I'm willing to. You can ignore me, or you can love me, like it says in the Shastakam, but I'm still yours, always be yours. That should be the attitude, that you can treat me any way you want. I still want to serve you. And then when Krishna, see, the thing is, when Krishna takes you back, then all the liberation and all the powers, everything comes as a package anyway. You get everything automatically, and a devotee knows that he will get everything. He doesn't have to ask for all these mundane things, because all these things are mundane compared to what the Lord has to offer. If you if you get the Lord, then you get everything else with it. It's like Duryodhana and Arjun, where Duryodhana asked for the Lord Sena, and where Arjun asked for the Lord himself, because he knows if he's got the Lord, then everything else is below him. So always ask for the Lord. That's the idea. That don't ask just for liberation, because that liberation is not devotional. A devotee just wants to serve the Lord. Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Madhuri. I think we have, is it Nitai Prabhu? Nitai Kirtan Prabhu? Sarveshi Mataji, are
Yes,
you there?
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Mataji, can hear you now, yes.
Well, the points have been mentioned already. The only thing I can say is Lord Vishnu is beyond the material nature. No nature binds him. Whereas Lord Brahma and Shiva, they are bound by material nature, passion, and ignorance. And they had anger and false ego. When the Bhrigu Muni went, they identified like false ego, that is my brother, he is my son, and which Lord Vishnu doesn't do it. So, and Lord Vishnu, his love of Brahman and go. And Brahma and Shiva, they when see the Brahmana, they had no respect for him. Instead of respecting, they were angry. But as Lord Vishnu, because he loves Brahmanas, and when he hit on the chest, he was very passionate.
It's very forgiving,
So
yeah.
that's the difference between Lord Brahma, Shiva, and Vishnu. There's a difference. A lot of people said, majority of people say they're the same, the Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and Vishnu, they're same, but they're not same. They are passion, ignorance, and pure goodness is. But it is all Lord Krishna's gun avatar. They are gun avatar, but in a different qualities they've got. Hare Krishna.
Right. Thank you, Mataji. I mean, the Bhrigu Muni, he's known, Krishna says in chapter 10 that Bhrigu, the most powerful of his sons is Bhrigu, who is also the greatest sage. He's known as a greatest sage. I think even Krishna says that of the sages, I am Bhrigu. So the Lord has a lot of respect for Bhrigu Muni, and I think this is why he was chosen to do this, could say, exercise. But like you say, is to show that the modes of nature are so strong that they can even influence Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva as well. Even they cannot fight these, but they have the intelligence to overcome, and this is what we should be doing. That although we may be dominated by another mode, we can overcome them by using our intelligence, and we build our intelligence through scriptures, by learning through scriptures, and then we can use that knowledge to stay in the mode of goodness. Now, one more thing is that it's very important that when we're cultivating the mode of goodness, that we don't do it just for its own sake. We are cultivating the mode goodness that's like a launching pad into pure goodness. We want to become become pure devotees, and we want to get out of the shackles of the three modes in nature. That's the only the reason we're doing. Not to we want to cultivate mode of goodness, but we don't want to stay in the mode of goodness. That's the idea. And how do we go into pure goodness? By serving. So that is the purpose of the mode. That is not a goal. That is the purpose. That is means the goal of pleasing Lord Krishna. And so we have to be in the mode of goodness, so we can launch ourselves into pure goodness. Because if we stay in goodness, then it can become a problem as well. We can become full of pride. We start thinking we're better than everybody else. We have more knowledge, or we are more intellectual, and sometimes we think, oh, we are following all these austerities. Look, because being in the mode of goodness is following the four regulations and chanting and following a life structure that is not in the mode of passion, not eating foods that are in the mode of passion, not wearing things that are in the mode of passion. And so we start thinking, we are better than everybody else. These people are below us. Look how much we are doing. So that we have to be very careful that we don't just become in the mode of goodness just for the sake of showing that we are, look, how great we are. That's just a means. That this sadhana bhakti has the potential to take us to Lord Krishna, and this is why we're doing this sadhana, not just because we want to show how great we are. You see what I mean? That's the idea. So who else we have? Madhav Shamsundar Prabhu, want to add something?
Haribol Prabhuji,
Right.
very nice pastime class.
Thank you.
No, everybody covered everything, so I don't want to say anything else. Just thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else like to add something? Say anything? Then we can start chanting.
Prabhuji, I've just got a quick question.
Mataji?
So you said like our aim is to be above all the three modes. So how is it possible, like we're struggling to be like in the mode of goodness most of the time.
Sure.
So how is it like when who is like above all these? So can you give some example?
Well,
Because like we still
sorry, Mataji.
when we're doing things we can't help thinking like, oh, she did that or he did that. So these things, still, although we are trying not to do anything bad, but sometimes these thoughts still come in your mind. So how can you be above all these modes?
Sure. I mean, that's only natural because we have a dominant mode, and that's that's what we're trying to escape from. I mean, we would like to think that the senior devotees who have been in the mission for 30, 40 years, that they are above the three modes. But while we are on this planet, while we are within the Devi gunas, it is very, very difficult. It's understood. So we can Krishna does forgive then when we make mistakes, because that's one of our four defects, that we make mistakes. So that's okay, but we still try. This is part of our sadhana bhakti, that we try and stay in the mode of goodness, and the only way we can go into the pure goodness is when Krishna has his mercy. So it's our endeavor and Krishna's mercy, just like we have in the Kartik month now. His endeavor and mercy go hand in hand. We cannot do everything by ourselves. We have to have Krishna's help. And when Krishna wants to help, he will do that, and he will take us out of that. Devi yasagunmaya mamaya drutaya. That Krishna says in Bhagavad-Gita that these three modes are very difficult to escape. But with my help, you can escape them. So this is why Krishna has given us Bhagavad Gita, because he gives us all the answers in there, that if you become my devotee, I will pull you out of these three modes. We can't do it. This Maya is too strong. We always get caught up in the, sooner or later something happens, something's triggered. Maya knows our weaknesses. Okay, so it will try and especially the devotee, she's now that we are on a mission, so it will test us so many times. That's her job. She wants to make sure that we are the right candidate to go back. That they don't want to take back people who are weak. So we need to get strong as possible. But ultimately, Lord Krishna says that He will help us. If we keep at it, then He will help us. Because this Maya is too strong for us. We can't do it by ourselves. Krishna will help us, and that's the what we need. It's like I said in the Kartik month, is that two fingers short. Uh, Mother Yashoda was trying to bind Lord Krishna, and when she couldn't do it, she used all the ropes in Vrindavan, and she couldn't tie him. So when he showed his mercy, then she was able to tie. So without Krishna's mercy, we really can't go, beyond these three modes. But to launch ourselves, at least we should be in the mode that is next to the mode of pure goodness, isn't it? I mean, if we are in ignorance or passion, we're miles away. We have to be very close to the mode of pure goodness. So Krishna just has to transfer us there. If we are in the passion and ignorance, then Krishna will say, well, you still got one more mode to go. Why are you asking me to put you in mode of pure goodness? You're missing a mode. So get there. It's like exams, say Bhakti Shastri, your pass mark is 65. If you got 64 and a half, then your teacher might show some mercy and just round it off to 65. But if you got 60 or 55, then they're going to say, I'm sorry, but you can't pass because you're too far away from the pass mark. But if you're 64, 64 and a half, then you got a chance. So you got to stay in that area. We have to stay in the mode of goodness, and we have to show those qualities that are in the mode of goodness, and then Krishna will show his mercy. Hope that makes sense.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, thank you, Prabhuji. Yes. So we have to get to the top of the ladder,
We
and
have
then
we have to stay at the
yeah,
top, and then Krishna will pull
yeah.
us up. He has to pull up. We
Thank you.
can only go so far by our own endeavor. Krishna has to pull us for the final push has to be, or pull has to be done by him. We can't do that by our own endeavor only. That's the. And there's one more thing we were talking about. Lord Brahma, he said that they mentioned the elemental things that Lord Brahma became uh, peaceful by realizing that he's his son. And Prabhupada gives the example, just like the water. Although water comes from fire, and the fire is put out by the water. So this is the good example because I'm just talking about the five elements, how they come about. That ether comes from, Krishna gives us all these things, sound, touch, form, taste, and smell, and from sound comes ether. So this is the process. From sound comes ether, and from sound and touch comes air, and from sun, touch, and form comes fire. And then when to that you add taste, you get water. So sound, touch, form, and taste comes water, and then finally earth. Sound, touch, form, taste, and smell gives us earth. So there is like a progression for the five elements, and this is what Prabhupada was saying, that the water actually comes from fire, because in the water you got the form, touch, and sound, which is already present in fire, and you've just added the taste, and then water is developed. So I think this is what Prabhupada was saying, that it's part of that, and this is how, when he realized that my Bhrigu Muni is part of me, then he was pacified. And as I've also said, that we should also, to stay in the mode of goodness, consider everybody as our son. We should consider everybody as a son or daughter, and then we will never get angry with them. Because with our kids, we are very tolerant. We think, oh, my son is only a child, is this and that. But when it comes to other people's children, we sort of think, oh, why is he making so much noise? Or why can't the mother control her child? They don't know what to do with their children. They are spoiled. we think so many things, but on our children, we think, oh, poor thing, probably not well, or probably hungry, or this and that. We can make excuses. But not just children, grown-ups is all. If we consider everybody as our own son, the Bhagavatam says, consider everybody as your son, and then you won't have any problem with anybody. If we consider everybody as our own child, we won't have any problem with them. So great lessons to be learned, and not only just learned for making a note in our diary, in our favorite diary. They're learned to be used. That's the way. So thank you all so much. I think we'll do a couple of rounds now of attentive chanting. Please concentrating on while we are chanting, make sure we heard the last mantra. That is the way to concentrate on your chanting. That make sure you are hearing what you are saying, and then we'll just do two nice rounds. And we'll start with this Sureshi Mataji today. Ready, Boma?
Yeah.
Start.
Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishnavasaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paschata Desatarane Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Binda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna